Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Josh, and thank you for sticking around for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. You can give us a call tonight, 412-575-2600. I'll be joined by Brian Batko in a matter of moments, and there he is in our main studio at KDKA. And Brian, I guess the big story today is Bob Pompiani had an interview with Mike McCarthy, and there's a lot of speculation. I think the most important part of the interview we just ran during sports, it's about 3 minutes. Bob talked to him spent the day with him, talked to him for about, I think it was about a 20-minute interview or so. But
spent the day, they get some pizza, Aiello's?
Maybe went to Big
town?
Jim's. I suggest to go to Big Jim's,
yeah.
Right? So, I think the most important part when he asked about the quarterback, he said he's going to give Aaron Rodgers a little bit of time, a little bit of space, but the plan is to kind of run it back. He thinks the physical ability is still there, and he wants to recreate the Green Bay success, what he just said. And then he talked a little bit about, and I think this what really gives it away and drives it home, that Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Relationship with the quarterback room, playing with Aaron Rodgers last year is something that we can build off of, basically insinuating he's coming back. I know they're giving him time, but it sounds like he's doing everything he can to get Aaron Rodgers to come back for one more year. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's the right move? Or do you think they should go with someone youthful like Will Howard or Mason Rudolph here?
Well, first off, Rich, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has a long reputation as being a relatively complex human being when it comes to decision making and where his head is on any sort of matter. So maybe Mike McCarthy doesn't want to speak out of turn. Maybe their conversations really have been pretty preliminary, and who knows what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. It's hard to get in his psyche, especially when you think back to around this time a year ago. I think most people assumed that if he had one more year left in the tank, it would be no more than one. And yet maybe things change with his old coach coming back around. I could see Rodgers thinking that would be a pretty cool way to end his career. And as McCarthy told Bob, it'd be a cool chapter for both of them, potentially. A lot of people thought it would be a cool chapter for Rodgers and Mike Tomlin last year. I wouldn't say it was. There were some good moments, but it still ended in much the same fashion. It's not what I would do, Rich. I just look at it as it's time to start moving this franchise forward a little bit. And I suppose you could say they're doing that with the McCarthy hire, but at the same time, I also view it as a comfortable hire, sort of a soft place to land, a familiar face and a guy you can trust who's been there, done that 2 different times in Green Bay and Dallas. So for an organization that honestly maybe let Ben Roethlisberger stick around a little too long and sort of had to play catch up in the succession plan, do you really want to go down that road again with Rodgers? That's kind of my perspective on it.
Well, we know the Steelers aren't going to punt on a season. And, we heard Art Rooney say it. Basically, he doesn't want to give up a year of his life, and it seems like...
But are you giving up years of your life when you're running Aaron Rodgers out there at 42, or Russell Wilson for a year when he probably doesn't have it anymore?
Is what I'm saying.
They were in contention, but they got walloped by the Texans in the first round, like they have been in the first round since 2017.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, I'm making a point here. I'm just saying, it's to say it seems like all this is safe to be successful, 9-10 win season again. And maybe it's the right move because of who they have on this team. And they have a window here with TJ Watt and that defense and some of the guys. If you add maybe a receiver, you bring back a veteran like Aaron Rodgers, you're closer to maybe winning a playoff game. Yeah. I don't know if you're closer to be a Super Bowl contender, but you're definitely closer, especially if you get that cornerback in the draft, or you get a couple pieces in the draft and a couple pieces in free agency.
Or a wide receiver in the draft who hasn't had the benefit of working with Rodgers before. That's why, with McCarthy saying that, I get it on a DK Metcalf front, but other than him, I mean, who do you even really expect to be in the receiver room? We don't know. Roman Wilson has worked with him, but he had clearly fallen out of favor by the end of last season. Adam Thielen is hanging it up. I think maybe he'll leave the light on to use a Tomlinism. But no, I hear you, Rich. I think that was a big part of the logic bringing Rodgers in last year is, hey, we kind of owe it to Cam Hayward and TJ Watt as a front office to take another crack at this thing. And Aaron's the best guy to do that with. And And I look at it this way, if this makes sense. I still think, to your point, he's probably, you can at least make a case that of all the guys on the market right now in the quarterback position around the league, maybe he is the one who gives you the best chance of making the playoffs again or winning the AFC North again. But what's the ceiling now with him? Wouldn't you want to at least try something else and see if there's a long-term answer out there?
Yeah, I agree. But, like you, I'm looking at free agency. I'm looking at a possible trade. Who would a team trade? Not many teams are going to trade a franchise
there's
quarterback.
not many options more inspiring, I suppose, than Rodgers. Obviously, Malik Willis is probably going to be the big one out there this year, someone that the Steelers did their due diligence on in the 2022 draft and ultimately opted for Kenny Pickett. And even Willis has a relatively small sample size with the Packers this past season, but I really liked what I saw from him when I watched him.
Yeah, in the postseason, and Kenny Pickett will be available too. I'll run it back with him too.
No, he
running
needs
it
to
back
get to
with
a
everyone
fifth
else.
Team so far in his NFL career, although he can't get traded again, which is sort of unfortunate.
Yeah. All right. We got to take a break. Back with your phone calls. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to our Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. The Steelers made it official. Patrick Graham is the new defensive coordinator. Brian, what do you think of it? I mean, the Raiders' defenses weren't great, but he had not that much to work with.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I think of it, Rich. I mean, you almost have to grade on a curve because that organization's roster has gotten so barren on the defensive side of the ball, other than Max Crosby, of course, but you can't just have one guy that doesn't make a good defense. Graham has been around a long time, but he's still only 47. I think he's still a driven defensive coordinator who'd like to be a head coach someday. So if he does well here in this opportunity with the Steelers, where he'll be running his own unit, it's even a more, I think, significant position now than it was for this franchise when Mike Tomlin was the head coach, because he was going to set the philosophies of the defense and have his hand really involved in everything they're doing. Now, I think Graham's going to have a lot more autonomy under Mike McCarthy, who, of course, has a vision for it, I'm sure, as the head coach. But this is going to be Graham's show. And, 4 seasons with the Raiders, I think one thing that sort of transcends the stats and the numbers and maybe even the film from what he did in Vegas is he survived multiple coaching transitions there. I think that tells you that he's pretty adaptable. He's pretty flexible. He's going to work to the personnel. He's not going to try to make the personnel on the team necessarily fit his scheme or what he wants to do. Real quick, before we get to the phone calls, so we're going to get to them in a second here. You mentioned Tomlin with the defense, but McCarthy's kind of similar with the offense. Does that worry you at all? Not necessarily. I mean, I think some people like to make the argument now that CEO head coaches make sense. There's a lot on your plate when you're trying to call plays, manage the clock, call timeouts, all that stuff on game days. But McCarthy's been there, done that for a really long time. And, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are wearing all those hats during games. So I don't necessarily think there's one size fits all in that. Yeah, and Andy Reid, too. Yeah. Let's go out to Joe in West Mifflin. How you doing, Joe?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I got, all these people are complaining about the age of Mike McCarthy, 63, whatever he is. Would you want a Steeler team to win a Super Bowl within the next 5 years, or would you rather hire a young coach and it take 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I like the hire. I'm one of the people that are in that I like the hire. Look, there wasn't much out there, it seems like, and McCarthy was the best fit. And he's 62. Age isn't a problem for me. If he's here 8 years and wins a Super Bowl, or at least goes to the Super Bowl, that is a success. Well, to Joe's point, I mean, Mike McDonald's about to be coaching in the Super Bowl a week from now, and he's in his second year as an NFL head coach, and I don't think he's 40 yet. So it's not like you're committing to a long-term rebuilding project if you do hire a younger coach. But I see what he's saying there. I mean, to tie it back into the conversation from the first segment, I mean, head coach and quarterback in the NFL, I think one of those, you can still do it at a high level. You can sort of get better and grow in your field and your craft and
churn out Super Bowl caliber teams. Whereas quarterback, Aaron Rodgers said he felt like Benjamin Button at the end of last year, but that movie is fiction. Father Time is undefeated when it comes to athletes and their physical attributes. So I just don't see it getting a lot better for him. But yes, at least with Mike McCarthy, another point in his favor for the Steelers. Quarterback evaluation, you hope that he's going to know what he's looking at that position as you try to figure it out for the long run.
Yeah, and down the stretch, that offense struggled at times outside of that Detroit game. I mean, especially against the Texans. Let's go out to Eric in Atlanta. What's up, Eric?
I'm in Orlando, but okay. I just, I really hope that we can find our franchise quarterback sooner than later. I don't know, where do you point the blame for as far as not having a franchise quarterback like your Joe Burrows and your Lamar Jacksons and your Patrick Mahomes of all the teams out there? And
yeah, Eric, I get the point, but where are you going to find them? The Steelers never had a chance to get that person. They were never in a position to get that person. I mean, I guess Kenny Pickett, they took a shot on and thought he would be that. But, in order to find the franchise quarterback, you have to be bad for a couple years. And the Steelers refuse to be bad. They refuse to retool or rebuild. They want to win or try to win as many games every year. And that's their philosophy. And you can't fault them for it because they're always kind of in the mix. They just can't win in the postseason. Maybe McCarthy can change that. But back to your original point, Eric, and I know I went on about it, but they were never in a position to get that guy.
Well, a couple players that people tend to point to here is Lamar Jackson in 2018, but that was a very different outlook for Ben Roethlisberger at that point. That was pre-elbow injury. It's kind of revisionist history to say that the Steelers should have tried that. And even if they do take Jackson over Terrell Edmonds at the end of that first round, who knows if they ever even get him on the field. Maybe Ben continues to play at a high level. And then Jalen Hurts, a couple years later, they went with Chase Claypool. And Hurts even, I mean, yes, he won the Super Bowl last year with the Eagles, but I wouldn't say he built on that momentum this season. I don't want to say the jury's out on a guy who has a ring on his finger, but that's another one. I thought the Claypool pick made sense at that time.
Yeah, me too. Let's go out to Joe in Whitehall. How you doing, Joe?
Good. I just want to ask about Will Howard. Why aren't we talking about him?
He didn't play. He didn't play at all. I mean, I know a lot of people are enamored with Will Howard because he won the national championship, but we didn't see him take a single snap. He ran the practice squad, the scout team at times, but he didn't do much at practice even. I'll give Will Howard some credit, and you've been to all the practices just like I was there watching him. He's one of the first guys on the field, and he's the last guy off the field every single practice. He's out there for an extra 30, 40 minutes at times.
Extremely diligent worker, and they jokingly referred to him as another quality control coach for the offense while he was on IR because he was doing any little project or task that they threw his way. That doesn't necessarily translate to any sort of success on the field, but you're right. I mean, even when he was on IR, he couldn't even throw to players on the team, so he was kind of out there getting whatever work he could in on the practice fields. But, I mean, I think back to training camp last year, I think he had some decent moments, but that was very early in the process, and as you recall, didn't even get a chance to play in the preseason because of that finger injury. So the main thing I'm disappointed here is both Joe from Whitehall and you, Rich, you're still pronouncing Will Howard's last name with 2 syllables when Mike McCarthy has clearly made it Will Howard, and we're going to have to just go that way from now on.
All right, then we'll pronounce his name.
1 syllable.
Howard. All right, let's go out to Chris in Pittsburgh. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, Richie. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Good. So just curious about the coaching hire here. So I have 2 questions about it and want to get your thoughts. So Mike McCarthy getting hired, he is on his 3rd team. Not many coaches, there are a lot of retreads that are on their 2nd team that have done well. How many have actually done well on their 3rd team? And then related to that, bringing Aaron Rodgers back, wasn't Aaron Rodgers the reason that Mike McCarthy got fired in Green Bay in the first place?
I think the record is what got them fired. I still think they have a good relationship, and if they did at the end, there's always that coach-quarterback thing. They mended fences right there in 2020, I read somewhere. But they've always kept in touch. Third job, right? I could think of a name that was pretty good, Bill Belichick. I don't know if you count that second kind of job, right, or the first job or whatever, the Jets, Browns, and Patriots. But
Marty Schottenheimer, I think, did he have 3 stints at different places? This is starting to get a little before my, not really an NFL.
What about Bill Parcells?
Yeah, and I think, was Pete Carroll? He had a job before the Seahawks, right? And then he went to USC, and then he circled back to the NFL and won a ton in Seattle. And
but didn't have success early. So, I don't know. I'd have to look at the stats. It's a really good question. But I think he was the best guy for the job out there, the best fit.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell on that. I thought the Steelers were going to approach it a very different way based on, I think, one of the biggest reasons for optimism of this franchise once Mike Tomlin stepped down was how well they've hired coaches over the years, and the formula that they had seemed to work. Tomlin, Cowher, Knoll, younger guys, defensive side of the ball, and I was less concerned about the side of the ball, but more so the age and the chance to grow with the team, and they went in a completely different direction.
I like the fact they went with an offensive guy. We're going to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls coming on the next day right there. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh along with Brian Batko tonight, and I know we didn't mention the Penn West question of the night. You can scan that QR code to get on the voting. Talking Steelers, didn't have a chance to get to Connor Griffin, who is the #1 prospect in baseball. Will Connor Griffin be on the opening day roster? It seems like most people think no, 55%. I would lean to the no category, but maybe you see him up here in May.
I'm going to say yes.
That would be nice.
Different from the no voters on the poll. I don't know. I mean, that'd be fun.
It would be fun.
That'd be very fun, but it'd be contrary to the Pirates.
And maybe they do it because they're getting a lot of pressure. They're getting a lot of heat, and they're changing things around. They went and got a couple bats. Maybe they feel like
maybe that might have taken the pressure off, though, for the promoting Griffin this early.
Speaking of fun and pressure, how about those Penguins? 5 straight games, taking on Mike Sullivan and the Rangers tomorrow.
Blue shirts.
Looking pretty good. They might make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they're at least an overachieving team, fun team to watch right now. I think, you were coming in without really any expectations in year 1 under Dan Muse. Just wanted to see improvement. It's there in droves.
All right, thanks a lot, Brian. Thanks for coming in. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys make the switch over to KDKA News right now.